Hi, Paul Hefty here with a Triangle O football system. I want to talk about our mesh pass series. This is an air raid rail route by the back, but this is a spot and sit style version, something we got from Penn State. A couple key points here. I like to install this right after our 4 verticals. Great man or zone beater. And then key is we're going to have that quarterback take a 3-step drop, but he must see both the mic and the SAM for his hot. And we like to have the back align towards the call, usually into the boundary. Let's take a look. As always, everything starts up front with the foundation. So for our pocket protection, we use a half man, half slide pass pro. First is a 6-man where we have the back check the mic and the SAM and then release. And then we do what we call a solo pro or a 5-man where the back is free releasing. I like to always say it's not so much what you do, but how you do it. So we use this drill 25 for our teaching and installation. What we've got is 2 quarterbacks going with the 5 receivers. So we've got one throwing in one phase and the other in a second phase. While that's going on, then the O-line with the extra backs can be working our 6-man check release pass pro. All right, we like to always start with the install and teaching from a 2x2 set spread. You can see here we're in our duo left formation. As I mentioned, we like to call this towards the X receiver into the boundary, so the back will align to the right doing his check release. What we do to make this simple is the H and the A, always the 2 inside receivers are going to do the over-under mesh. H is the over setting the mesh at the toes of the mic, with the A going underneath the toes of that H back and across. What we do now is we have the X do a spot and sit somewhat over the ball. He's going to find that open grass between the linebackers to the call side. The back will check release, as I said, inside out, and then run a rail route. What's different here between a rail and a swing is the swing he would actually stay behind the line of scrimmage. With the rail, we want him to get to the numbers and then work upfield. Last, we always have the Z running a 4-step glance or skinny post. If we feel we have a free access, a mismatch, or straight zero coverage, then we can go ahead and go right to that too. Quarterback takes a 3-step drop under control, no rush. He's going to be able to see both the mic and the SAM for the hot blitz where he's got the A or the H crossing. If no fill by the mic, then we go ahead and focus on the SAM, looking for that X on the spot and sit in the middle to the A on the check down underneath with the rail swinging to the sideline. What's great about the system is we go 3x1 and we can stay with our rules, and the H-back simply does now a pivot mesh. He wants to end up in the same spot. He's going to again run to the mic, set the mesh, do a reverse pivot, and then back to his crosser. The A again goes underneath the toes because the H always sets the mesh. Everything's exactly the same then. Quarterback's going to read and see that hot mic to focus on the SAM looking for the spot and sit. A is the check down on the crosser with the rail down the sidelines and free access by the Z and the H on the backside. Next, we can go ahead and go to what I call that solo pro, something I really prefer with mesh, where we free release the back, and then the rules and the routes all stay the same, but the quarterback's read progression changes. We're now going to go to the rail route first when we get blitz, still going to focus on the SAM, and then look for the A on the crosser to the spot and sit third now. So it's an easy way to change the progression, but you keep all the read keys and the routes exactly the same. Again, we go 3x1. H is the only one who has to adjust. He simply goes to the pivot crosser, but wants to end up in the same spot he would originally. He'll set the mesh on the mic. A comes underneath. Again, since we're going solo pro, the quarterback will look for the rail by the back first to the A on the crosser to the spot and sit inside. Next, we can use an exchange tag so that we can go ahead and have our H-back do the spot and sit, and the X become the over mesh setter on the crosser. We like to do this from our ace or our double stack set. So again, we're going to go free release with the back on the rail, but now the X will run the under crosser and the H will burst or spray out and run the spot and sit. Everything's the same for the quarterback, we just have exchanged routes. Looking rail 1, crosser by the A2 check down to the spot and sit inside now by the H. Again, with the exchange tag out of 3x1, all we do is have the H now run his spot and sit from the 3 receiver side. He wants to end up in the same spot. So again, we're going to free release the back, rail route 1, A is the crosser, X is going to set the mesh, and then the H now has the spot and sit, but he wants to get to the call side with that, finding open grass with the backers. Last, we can do a corner tag where we have the receiver who does the spot and sit normally at the stem of his route, then to break to the corner. Great versus straight man press coverage. In this case, now the X, who normally has the spot and sit, is going to get up to the linebacker and then break outside to a corner route. Again, quarterback uses the same repercussion. If he feels he has pressure hot with the mic, he's looking for the A or the H on the crosser, but then his progression is reading now the corner is what we're looking for the corner route to the crosser underneath by the A to the rail. So it's somewhat of a flood concept. Again, corner tag out of 3x1, nothing changes except the H will do his pivot crosser on the Mike's toes, setting the mesh over the A underneath. Again, you can see now with the X split out, this is a great double move versus man to the corner route. Again, quarterback, since it's 6-man protection, is going to go ahead and look for the Mike hot. He's got the crosser, but if not, then we're going to go ahead and see that cat to the Sam looking for high-low with a corner route to the A on the crosser check down to the rail in the flats. You can see now we got a simple way to beat both man and zone, and the spot and sit concept is a great way to help young quarterbacks have consistency and have a high completion percentage with a mesh concept. Thanks.